Yeah, because there's some Pine Ridge people on this. Well, I gotta, I'm gonna find him. It takes me forever. He was a little boy, he was a grandson, and he inherited, and he's 39 years old now and has no idea he has an IIM account.
Oh. What a surprise, huh?
He's gonna be surprised. I like to find ones I know are gonna be like, hey.
We have a lot of friends.
Yeah. I didn't realize I had one. Do you have a copy of that, what you sent to us? I could get it to print. Can you print me it without remote,
It's in there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, so I think a lot of the schools were putting that online last week, so the state sent those first 2 letters out with it, so, yeah, it's all there. Okay.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. Melissa's on, I don't know, Michelle's on the phone. Debbie's out. So, move to public forum.
Does anybody think so?
Board comments?
It's time.
Do we fit in?
When you do my report, I'll just record it.
All right, sounds good. Okay, adopt the agenda.
I'll move with amendment to the agenda under the consent agenda where it says approved minutes, that we add that it's February 13th minutes, because I've noticed on the last couple agendas, we're not listing it. They're showing up as a document, but they're not showing up on the actual agenda as to what minute dates we're approving. Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, so look at your agenda right here.
Yep.
Where it says approved minutes, it lists 0, nothing. And it should list the dates, it should list like the February 13th meeting, the whatever meetings. And it was in the past, and then I went back and looked, and I noticed after our January 23rd meeting, they're forgetting to list that on the agenda of what meeting minutes we're actually approving.
Oh, on the last one.
Yeah, and the one before that,
Okay.
it's not showing, so
Okay.
I just want to make sure that it, under approved minutes, it shows February 13th, 2023, it should show those.
Okay.
And then, just to verify, we don't have any certified contract enters or follows, do we?
No.
Okay. So I'll move to approve that as long as we make sure that that February 13th is added.
To clarify, are you talking about this part right here, Melissa?
So when you get to your agenda where it says approved minutes, it should list all of our meetings that we've had
Oh,
and the
okay, you want it
minutes
on there.
that are in there. It should actually show on the actual agenda.
On agenda where the, okay.
Yeah, but he was putting it on there, and then I went back and then thought, okay, and all of a sudden now he's not listing those, so I didn't know.
All right. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, who's seconded?
Oh,
Linda. Oh. Sorry.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, yes. 4-0.
So did I. Don't
Nice
feel
to
bad.
All right. 4-0.
Thank you. So the council,
You might just have to unplug it, otherwise it won't shut off.
she said you have to unplug it. Yes, too. That's good. Thank you. So the counselors have been busy. They're not going to have a meeting this month because they have additional training on the March 14th and 15th. They've been doing the parent guidance stuff, which I remind you guys of, and the next one is March 8th, establishing healthy boundaries. And then we've been doing all calls to remind people of that. Kristen and Sunny are going to be available for that session. On March 17th, they did the statewide support for well-being of school-aged youth. Their last meeting, they are doing some training with Michael and continuing training with him. They also are doing some solution-focused therapy training for September already. With part of that is using the donation they got earlier this year. So survey information we're hoping will go out Wednesday to the calendar committee that after parent teachers they were collected, and we need to enter those in.
Large stack on my desk. Started entering them today.
Yeah, so the fun stuff. Yeah, and so then we'll have to set a meeting after that because the calendar is to be on the March 6th agenda, so. Yes. Winter sports are coming to an end, hard to believe it's going that fast. The boys will play Red Cloud tomorrow night in Red Cloud. The girls fell to Red Cloud 75-42. State wrestling was last weekend, and very excited to announce we had 4 girls go to state and 1 boy. 2 of the girls placed 8th, and our gentleman placed 5th. The state is still doing the Dakota Dreams online tutoring program, and that's on the website. So if anybody wants help for their K-12 students, that's available. And it's their teacher candidates from Black Hills and Northern, so that's good. I mentioned that the Cook Center will be doing their next webinar March 8th, next Wednesday, week from Wednesday. Again, a reminder, because it's very important for our young people, they get pretty excited about prom. So that's April 15th with a backup date of April 22nd. And then hopefully if the snow melts, we'll have the Mission Games on April 26th out here on the track. So it's been kind of quiet with the snow. So just makeup games and different things, so. Presenting tonight was going to be technology and nurses, but Richard George came last time, so we have Jolene here. I don't know if you've met Jolene. She's our new RN, housed mainly at the middle school, doing a fabulous job. They're the ones I tell you about that are fun to meet with, and our last meeting was on Valentine's Day, so she has some information for you.
Hi, I'm Jolene. I put together a little packet. There's a program, and it's been around about 2019. It's where they're providing Narcan, and it's the South Dakota Department of Health is working with social services and everything in case of opioid overdose in schools. And right now, it is available just to high schools. I'm going to kind of follow up on that because the middle school ages, you see a lot of experimenting in those. But that packet is just information for you guys. If you look on, there's frequently asked questions on there. On the back page, it's the school district, the school board has to authorize and pass that. So if I could get put, or this could get put on next meeting, if you guys had time to look it over. And included in the packet is also a sample policy, and then a couple other policies from different schools that are participating. Everything should be in there. And then there's also information for administration and school board to get online. And it's saying that the district already has a sign-in, but I'm not sure, because I just came in November. But it's just information for you guys to look at and see, you know, if that's something you're interested in. I'm also an EMT, so the importance of acting fast in case of an opioid overdose is important. But so if you want to maybe look that over and see what you guys think. And then we've also been working on our non-compliant immunizations. It's kind of been a little bit of a struggle with school, snow days and everything, getting everything put together, but we have got that in place and we're following up with that. Also, we got a purchase order in for another AED for the middle school. After Mar Hamlin's cardiac incident on the football field, when these kiddos are practicing out in the football fields, I'd like to see one go with them, because I mean, it can happen at any age. You know, that heart got hit at the right time, and so the high school already has two, but I hate to pull it out of the gym and then not have one at the middle school in case there's a volleyball game, you know, an adult or a child could go. So I got a purchase order in for that. I need to follow up on that. And then also, EpiPens. There's an EpiPen for schools program that they have, and they give out free. And I've got that all put in place. I got the standing orders all signed and everything. So those are on their way. And each school will get 2 boxes, and they have 2 pens in each box. So,
Oh, cool.
and we already have a policy. I mean, there's a standing order in place on that too. Back to that Narcan, the state of South Dakota actually provides the medical director for that. So it's kind of blanketed. So also, I kind of wanted to bring up our head lice policy. The Department of Health and Human Services, they have, and CDC recommends, I think I included that also, just information for schools. They are now not suggesting sending them home. And so it's, you know, of course it's up to the board in the school. But I'm finding like elementary does it a little bit different than middle school. And I think it should be district-wide. We follow all the same, you know, because if I'm sending someone home, if they have a sibling in elementary and they're not getting sent home.
Do you remember what policy ours is labeled under what section?
On the,
On ours? I think it's in
the
the
lice.
handbook, isn't it? Yeah.
The head
Is
lice.
it in the student handbook?
It's in the handbook, on page 7, but it's kind of blanketed. It's lice/bed bugs. And so it's in here, you know, of course, antibiotics, if there's an infection, must be treated. In here it states if your child has head lice, they cannot be in school until treated. Now the CDC, as you see on that one form, or that one page, excuse me, that I gave you, they're actually go home at the end of the day and be treated. And then also the no nits policy, they're kind of pulling that back too.
So if they don't get treated, they come back to school and then they go home again and try to be treated again? Sounds like a
What's that?
cycle. It says they go home at the end of the day, be treated, and return after appropriate treatment has begun. Normally around here, that doesn't happen, so kids will just
Well,
keep coming.
at the elementary school, they're not sending them home.
They don't
over-
have to. It says they can go home at the end of the day, be treated, but they're coming back to school the next day, probably not treated.
I see a lot of absences coming back the second day in that. I think a lot of that, of course, is financial. That stuff is not cheap.
I know.
And a lot of times, you know, there's stuff over the counter, but then you have to go see a doctor to get the prescription to have like an insurance or Medicaid cover it. So, I know over at the high school, I believe Bobby purchases her own and then gets reimbursed to send home. And I think that's a great idea, but then you run into the problem, how many family members do they have? You know, you treat just one and
Yeah.
then,
Does IHS still even hand that out anymore? Is it something you can even get through IHS anymore? I don't think so.
I could,
Do you know, are you aware of Indian Health Services still allows people to go there to get it?
I am not sure. I will follow up on that. And I will get a hold of the Department of Health and Human Services to see if there's a program, like the EpiPens. See if
Yeah.
there's something we
Yeah.
can do.
Just because I have granddaughters who have really long hair, we always use that, you buy it at Walmart, it looks like a princess candle.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's got a
castle.
thing on it, it has.
Ponytail
Yeah.
or it's with that oil that
You spray it on
Tea
to
tree oil.
keep the bugs from getting
you
in there.
you spray it on their hair every day. When you're fixing their hair, you spray it in their hair, and it prevents them from infection of getting them. Plus, there's also a shampoo you can use too,
Yeah.
but the spray works really good.
It's
It's
got
kind of
all
like a
kinds of stuff in
detangler.
it.
It's a conditioner type hairspray.
Yeah.
I think it's called Ponytails
Something like
or
that,
something
yeah.
like that.
It works good.
It works good.
Okay.
You can even spray it on their coats, especially if they have coats that have the little fur on it.
Or the hoods.
Yeah, the hoods, if you spray it on them, and it smells really cute. Cause it has a castle and all kinds of stuff on it, they think it's pretty dang cool. They don't realize it's,
They sell it at beauty salons too.
yeah, cause long hair is not nice to,
Right.
It's very
Takes
curious
forever.
to get the nits out of that, yes. It's, yes, I will follow up on that.
So I've recommended that the nurses come up with a recommendation for the handbook. instead of the principals trying to come up with something, or the individuals on the handbook committee, so, and then, because they're our experts, so we'll have them draft what should be in the handbook and have them present that. So,
Let's see, the only other thing, I am gonna meet with Nora tomorrow and join the task force for Rosebud, as the nurse. And so I think we're having a meeting March 3rd here, it's like a potluck meeting. So I don't have a lot of information on it because I haven't met with her yet, but we were gonna do that Thursday, but of course with weather. So I will know more on that, and what it consists of. I think we're getting, together with IHS and that, and it's for healthy stuff for the kiddos, so, which is very important. I think that's all I've got.
Questions?
No, not of her, but it reminded me of something, and I did visit with Marla's, but is there some, so I had a call from a grandmother about a nephew and a grandson at Rosebud School who have beautiful, beautiful long hair. She sent me their pictures. Oh my God, I was jealous of their hair. But they were being teased at school. Their braids were being pulled, and they caught the one little boy at home. He was trying to cut his own braid off because the kids were teasing him so bad. And so, I mean, is there some kind of program? Is there somebody, group we can reach out to? I don't know if Boys for Braids is still, I don't know if they still have their organization here.
David Espinosa was the one that was running that.
Or if somebody could at least come in and do some stuff in our schools about Boys with Braids.
Nellie has some contacts that she's been working with because it's come up at other places too, because her children both have, braids as well, so she's has some contacts.
It would be nice if and it's probably something that needs to be brought up over and over again, about being respectful to some of our children's choices. And I mean, I felt bad after I heard the stories from the grandma about the little boys, and I felt really bad when they caught the one little boy trying to cut his own braid off because he was being bullied at school for having his braid. And things like that shouldn't be happening. They should be proud
maybe
of
Nellie
their
can
long
share
hair.
that with, or have it Wednesday for our admin meeting.
Yeah, I'll ask her.
Thank you.
Some resources are ways to incorporate it in their morning meetings with the elementary kids, or I know a lot of our schools do the drum in the morning, if it could be part of the circle when they get, and something that they talk about more than once, so that it makes an impression on kids that,
Absolutely.
Isn't that already protected by the section 504?
it is, but kids are still teasing other kids and
So
bullying.
teachers should be actually teaching that anyway, right? And then resources could be coming in to talk about how to protect, like why it's important, and then the
Yeah.
teachers have to uphold it that way. You're not discriminating against each other, practicing it. So.
But I wish I had those little boys' braids. Oh my goodness. One little boy has about a 2 or 3 inch thick braid. I'm thinking, whoa.
If there's no further questions for Jolene, thank Jolene for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's been a wonderful addition along with Reggie. We have, we're fully staffed with nurses now, so that's exciting.
I really enjoyed it. I came from Horizon Medical. I've been up there for 6 years, so I've seen these kiddos grow up.
Mm.
And boy, I get a lot of fun. You don't have shots or anything in there, do you? But it's fun watching them grow up.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the service here.
Thanks, Jolene.
All right.
The only other thing I have is that the state assessments are coming up quickly. March 1st through May 5th are the
That's very
ELA
important.
Math, Science, and Alternative Science. And then ELA and Math Alt are March 13th through the 18th. So we've been ramping up for that. People have been training and learning what they need to know to be able to give those assessments. So
had a question, Cheryl, where are we at with all the snow days?
So, actually not too bad. I need to get with Brian and after this last week and figure them out again. The high school had figured out how to make a couple days, and then with the adjustment to the middle school schedule that we did, and then they were also altering lunch a little bit so they could have more days. But prior to last week, I think it was 2 days, but they had, that wasn't figuring out, that additional time we put in. So it isn't as gloomy as you might think at this
So
point.
What about the
the-
staff?
What's that?
What about the staff? How are we gonna make up their?
I think they were at 4, so they're probably at 5 now.
5 days they have to make up.
Right. And I know 3 schools took up on the offer of the March 15th in-service day to have students. So, and that was the high school, the middle school, and Rosebud so far,
Okay.
are the ones I've heard about, so.
So then on this plan, are you going to be using this going forward?
I hope so. Wednesday, we will figure out how we're going to communicate it to families in the community. They don't need to see all of that, know all of that. They just need to know what their students are responsible for. So we'll make sure that language works for the K-5 and then the middle school and the high school, what they're gonna, like we can put that on the webpage then, and the administration can make sure that goes home to families, and then we can do that. So we just have a lot of different groups of people that, you can see in there that we need to make sure that they know what their responsibility is on those days. So, and that's the last thing, and then we're ready to go. Like I mentioned, those front 2 pages, that came out, I want to say on Thursday, because if you watch the clothesline, there were a lot of schools that were saying they were using the virtual days, so they just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what the requirements were. And the main one was that packets, don't count, so we have to be mindful of that. And if our elementaries do some of that, they have cushion with days, so, but they'll still have some learning activities, and we won't send out any like new learning. It'll be review and, practice of what they've done. So, and then staff have to be available within the plan as well. So hopefully, most of the districts that are doing something like this do say they're fluid as well. If you run into a glitch and you need to change something to make it work better for staff or students or families, that you can do that. But this is a starting point for us.
So did you have a team work on this?
Actually, Krista and I Krista kind of started it. The draft is from T, South Dakota. Jennifer's very gracious. And then I sent it out to the admin to make sure that it would work for their schools. And then Chad and I looked at some of it because of, the 12-month staff and other staff, because 12-month staff was not on the original document, that the draft form. So just to make sure we weren't missing anyone, I made sure that Bo was okay with how, kitchen staff would, they have things they can, trainings they can watch to do. So try not to forget anyone as far as, what would be expected. And then, like I said, Wednesday morning we'll go over, what if you notice in there, it's a K-5 plan, and then a middle school plan, a high school plan, and we'll make sure the administration have the right verbiage that we can send out, put on the webpage and use for publication. So I try not to make it more confusing. There's a few districts that have their plans out there. Chamberlain has one as well that's somewhat similar.
So as long as they provide this, then they have to do like a check-in attendance.
The students are supposed to make contact to be able to count them for attendance. That was one of the things I was concerned about, but everybody assured me that like the high school kids take their computers home anyway. And then the other thing that's not in there is we would let everyone know by 2 o'clock that we're gonna do that to make sure they send stuff home. So you gotta give some prep time with it. Yeah. And we usually know with the weather that we're gonna have a little bit, so.
It's gonna storm tomorrow.
Quit.
We're not gonna get it, it's all gonna go north of the interstate.
I hope so.
At noon I saw the weather and it's gonna go north. So you have a 10% chance. But we're gonna get the wind.
Well, that'll dry up some of the mud.
Anything to drive the mud.
So if you're okay with that, we will continue to move forward with that on Wednesday with the admin team and what to put out for PSAs and to the public, so if they have questions as well, they'll be able to get them answered, hopefully before we need to use it.
Looks good to me.
Looks good to me, anything that's gonna cut down on our snow, for staff and kids.
Carol, I had my report because because of my family emergency last week, I didn't get it to you ahead of time, but I did bring it.
A what?
My report.
Oh,
for,
yes.
An assessment report. I can do it tonight or I can wait. It's kind of up to you guys as to if you want me to go through it. Or I can wait till a different time. Oh, so Monday I could just.
Do it on Monday, right? I mean,
Right.
it's a really quick turnaround time for our next board meeting.
It is.
It is, yes.
Yeah, so it's up to you guys as to if you'd like me. So it's kind of lengthy, and it's all about the fall to winter assessment and the comparisons from last year's to this year's. So if you want to just have some time to look at it, you can have the week, and then I can present on it next week. Would be probably the easiest way to go.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, that way then if we have questions on it,
Yeah.
we can ask.
That's, okay?
So as far as this, we don't have to make a motion on to, we're agreeing with it.
Yeah.
Do you have, Michelle? Michelle?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Okay, we just agreed to go ahead and push forward the virtual learning.
Okay,
When
yeah,
there is a
that
snow
sounds
day, they put together a pretty good pack here, so
Okay.
we're agreeing with it. Are you okay with it? I guess I'm looking for.
She said she was.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
just clarifying.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
No.
All right, moving on to
7-1.
7-1, where are you?
I'll
Mark?
move.
All right, well, I'll just wait for Linda to second that. and I'll have to
Second.
change it.
I already passed mine out.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
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 And Rose Ruff is retiring.
Mhm.
Saw that. I thought she's been here forever.
She put it in writing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
8.1,
Move.
Second.
second by Linda, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Sage, I don't have it in front of me. Can you read it?
So 8.1 is to accept the resignation of Letarian Officer McIntosh, teacher from Todd County Elementary School. effective at the end of the school year.
Okay. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the next one is 8.2, accept the retirement of Rose Ruff.
Move.
Second.
And that one's also effective at the end of the school year. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we need an executive session.
Just, are we gonna set up a date to remake that date up for when we were supposed to meet and then it stormed on contract? To look at those recommendations before they come to the board, because they're gonna have to come to the board before the 15th of March. And then that's during the NAFIS time too, so they're gonna have to come probably unless you have a special meeting to have those come before you guys won't be back.
Yeah, and we've done that before too. Last year, we actually did a noon meeting. So, up to you guys, how you wanna handle that.
But we kind of want to go over them first before we,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of requests from admin, so I can tell you about those and then.
Yeah. So that's either gonna have to be sometime this week or next week right away.
Was Wednesday.
The 8th or the 1st
The first.
works for me.
First, at what time?
Can we do it early?
What time are you guys saying?
We haven't set a time yet.
March 1st is what we're talking about.
And it will be evening? Or-
I don't know what time earlier better, the better, because I have to go to confirmation with Madeline, so.
I got off work at 3:30.
Anytime, yeah.
3:30 work for you? Michelle?
I don't have my calendar right in front of me, so I'm driving down the road, but, I'll pull up and, I'll pull over here the next chance I get. Go ahead and write it down.
3:30?
Then you'll send something out for calendar meeting?
We'll send that out Wednesday, right? Is kind of what you and I had said.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that the calendar committee can look at that before. And then I was thinking maybe Thursday, the calendar committee, because we have it ready for the Monday meeting.
Yeah, I would say we should meet, we definitely need to meet Thursday for a calendar meet. And then I can send out the survey information to everybody.
So then Thursday, are we just gonna plow through it and do what the 4-day would look like?
I think so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
I think we have a couple of drafts.
Yeah, I would say there's
So,
2 drafts
at
floating
least
out
2.
there, so I'm sure we can just crank it out.
Okay.
So what time because we've done a variance of times.
I think
and
for everybody from outside, you know, like tests to get there and everything, it's gonna have to be like 4:30.
Okay.
4:30 on the 2nd, that works. Just so I have all these,
Mm-hmm.
Got a busy week.
yeah.
This Thursday?
Yeah, calendar meeting. And that should, if everybody reviews the survey information ahead of time, it'll go
Yeah, I think it's
smoother, I think, so.
Any special meeting for that?
No, that's a
The
committee.
calendar.
That's a
Oh,
committee
all right.
meeting.
Calendar committee. Sorry,
You
Zane.
feel free to come and join, you're always welcome to come join that
How many
meeting.
meetings are we gonna have this week?
You're always welcome to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for nothing.
Great.
All right.
Actually, they're not that bad. I thought the last one went pretty. It's just the first, getting everybody's opinions out, I think, is, you know,
Yeah.
that brings a little, maybe territorial.
One thing though, as at our next board meeting, you know, we should talk about norms for what our agenda should look like, or our expectations for our agenda. I'm just gonna say, in the past, when it came to, and I'm noticing that it's not happening the same, when it came to personnel actions, when it came to letters of resignation or anything, even though there isn't no PEII in it, those were always in the executive content. So the board would have to sign on to board docs, and then they were the only ones who saw that information. Sometimes those personnel actions that we get have had some stuff on it that is a little questionable. I mean, but yet I notice now all of that's open, the general public can look at any of that stuff. There's no designation between what's an executive item on all the attachments. They're all just showing up for the general public to read.
I think we've put the, like, recommendations, if they had phone numbers, addresses, we've done that in exec, because there was concern about that, but we haven't done that.
I haven't seen them that
The
way.
letters.
I can just get on board docs public and see everything. There's no difference between that and what the board has access to when I log in.
I'll check on that, because I thought we had changed
So I
that.
mean, some norms of how we want our agendas to look, our school board agenda, when it comes to the board. I mean, cause just like I guess I'm used to the way things used to be, you know, and the different norms of, there were some things that were placed, like you had to sign on as a board member, and then you could actually see some of this stuff.
And the
It wasn't
executive
general,
content, yeah.
And some, you know, like I said, none of this had any PII in it, but then it was just a respect thing to some of our employees that maybe they don't want the whole general United States, anybody who gets on there can see their stuff, the way it's set up now. Just something to think about, you know, if we could have a discussion on it, and maybe look back at some of the older agendas, the way they were done.
Yeah, that's a, review those and see what common practices and see what we're missing.
Yeah.
Make sure it's public information. Anything else?
No.
Linda? Michelle, you have any questions?
Sage, I think that's a good idea, that we should review that. I just have one little conflict. What time do you think we'll be finished, with our meeting on Wednesday? Because the junior class parents have a meeting to talk about things that I kind of have a commitment for.
I don't think it'd be,
Think we can finish it up before 6?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, we'll finish.
Okay.
Information starts at 6. Please.
Anything else to be shifted to another special meeting.
Right.
Or to the regular board meeting.
I
We'll try to hustle it up, Michelle.
I don't have enough Girl Scout cookies to keep my stomach from growling if we're gonna go that long.
But we were stacking up meetings, and that whole day is stacked, so it's gonna be one of those kind of days.
Yeah, yeah. And all those days are. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll adjourn at 6:12. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.